Hey guys, so welcome to our next episode where today we're going to be looking at training for trail running specifically. And wanted to pass on my knowledge to you as a coach so that you can be more aware of the types of training sessions that you should be doing as somebody that's looking to improve out on the trails. And I actually wanted to take it back one step and to start by looking at just generic running training first, because ideally you should have a foundation of running experience and then you can add some specific trail running elements to that as you progress through your trail running journey. As a runner and somebody that trains, we generally look at people and say, okay, you're a beginner, you're an intermediate, you're an advanced runner. Now, what would that look like in terms of how much training you might be doing at the moment? Well, as a beginner runner, you may only be running one to two times a week, but you should also be doing 1 to 2 strength sessions a week, functional strength sessions, and 1 to 2 recovery sessions a week. So somebody that's relatively new to running, I would suggest that that's a really good starting position where you've got 6 sessions a week, but only 2 to 3 of them are running. An intermediate runner would ideally be able to add on another 1 to 2 run sessions a week to that same structure. And an advanced runner would be training 6 or more times per week, running specific, and then potentially doing another recovery session, as well as probably just 1 functional strength session. And that's because as the advanced runners would also be probably doing some hill-specific running or some longer training sessions, which would give them the strength over time to be able to handle that volume as well. So less of a gym set there. And let's go now and have a look at some of the other aspects of run training. So the first thing is that you need to have a structure and a goal 3, 6, 9 and 12 months out. And that's because depending on the phase of how close you are to your targeted event, you actually need to change the ratio and the types of training that you're doing. And what I mean by that is, look, if you've got ideally 6 to 12 months to train for an event, you would be doing more strength type based running sessions and potentially more gym work. But as you got much closer to the event, you'd really completely strip out the gym work and really freshen up and get some speed back into the legs. You can't do that well unless you have a bit of a plan to know what you're targeting, and then you can work back from that. The other important thing that I like to do is add double runs, but they need to be added in very carefully. And these give you a really good adaptation, but they potentially would also make you more tired. So it's a run that you would do only 1 to 2 times per week initially, and it's a very light run after you've already trained, for example, that morning. Another thing that everyone needs to include in their weekly training is the long run. A long run is anything over 75 minutes. The more consistently you can do that week on week, the better you're going to be overall in the future. I've found definitely that the most important element to people not getting injured but also improving is consistency and strength work. And if you keep that long run going of over 75 minutes every week, you're just going to be able to build up your training at any point in time. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a hard run. It can be an enjoyable run with other people. Another thing that you would also look to include in your weekly training would be potentially an interval session or a tempo session. The difference being, interval sessions are after a warm up and a warm down, something where you would be doing 800 metre repetitions, 1 kilometre repetitions, for example, on a relatively flat path or oval. And that helps build your VO2 max, okay? So that gives you a little bit of top end speed and really increased fitness straight away. So doing that type of session, and you may also do a tempo session. So a tempo session is a longer effort than your VO2 max intervals, but it's where you're targeting an adaptation to give you an improvement over long races. So that helps you improve your lactate threshold so that you can sit at a higher level and run faster than you otherwise would if you didn't do those types of sessions. Now, my biggest tip, I guess, is that every 2 to 3 weeks, you should definitely, and this is for all runners, not just trail runners, you should include a killer session. So that's something that almost scares you in terms of knowing that you're going to have to go out and do it. And you shouldn't necessarily do these sessions with other people all the time either. You know, this is really now playing into the trail running element, because when you're trail running, you're out there for a lot of time by yourself, and you need to get used to that. So sometimes you have to go and do these harder sessions by yourself so that you get used to the fact that, yep, you can get uncomfortable and you can do it when it's just you out there getting through it by yourself, those hard times. When I do a killer session, it's picking, you know, a route where I'm going to challenge myself to see if I can run close to or better than a time that I've potentially set on that before. Or I may throw in something unique to it. For example, I may go and do a weight vest session where I'm running hill repeats when I may have already done a 5 to 10 kilometre run in that morning. So I'm doing something on fatigue. All right, so now we're going to switch it up and move over to trail specific training. So these are my, I guess, adaptations from your regular training, which now become more unique and specific to trail running. I really think that you should be doing running drills once a week as a trail runner, but the running drills need to be very specific to the adaptations that you're looking for. So there are things that you can do to help you run up and down stairs better, like using micro bands to add in resistance to your ability to lift up your legs against resistance, or also more faster than you otherwise normally would. You know, and these types of things can be added to and or after a functional strength session. So running drills specific to getting adaptations for running out on the trails, and don't neglect the upper body. Okay, a lot of the time when you're out on the trails, especially the longer trail running events, you'll be going up and down stair sets, or you'll need to be using your upper body when you're using running poles. Okay, so don't neglect the upper body. Do some strength work on that at least once a week in the gym, in addition to the other functional strength work that you're doing. So functional strength training sessions are sessions best done in the gym, obviously, or at a home gym. And when we say functional, it's fit for purpose. So it's movements that are in line with running movements for us as runners. So you want to do exercises that are single leg, so that you're switching on, but also developing both sides of the body equally. And that could be single leg squats off a bench, you could be doing pistol grip squats, or whatever it is. And the reason we want to do and isolate both sides of the body is because your body's actually really clever at leaning on the stronger side when you're out running. So we need to make sure that we develop the ability for you to be able to not only engage, but use both sides of the body functionally. And the types of sessions that we do, they overload, you know, they should overload the muscle group quite quickly. So you're going to be doing, you know, for example, a minute and a half of a certain exercise, 45 seconds on each side, and then you'll be going and doing a similar exercise using the same muscle group, 45 seconds on each side, and then you'll be going and doing another 1 or 2 exercises. So in 4 minutes, you're actually very quickly loading up the same muscle group. You'll have a rest and then you'll go and repeat that, but that allows you to get a really specific strength adaptation very quickly, and it's something you otherwise wouldn't be able to do just by run training alone. So what you need to do with the functional strength training is to make sure that you isolate and use one leg at a time, or one arm at a time, because the body's really clever at not engaging both sides when you're actually out training. And if you don't do that type of work in the gym, you'll be surprised at how easily you could lead to an injury when you're out running. And you literally isolate one side of your body, you'll do 3 or 4 exercises on that leg, then the other leg, and then very quickly over time you'll get like a really specific adaptation. So for me, in addition to all of that training that we've been talking about and the ways that you can train, as a professional trail runner, some of the things that I really like to include in my training that have given me an adaptation and a benefit to run faster are plyometric jumps. So box jumps, for example, or jumps where you're developing an ability to spring off the ground, because that allows you to stay in the air more, but also be a stronger runner. So plyometric jumps and my running drills, of course, but also fast downhill running efforts. You know, and they don't necessarily have to be a long downhill or a very steep downhill. Something the same gradient as the downhill on train track Okay, so it's only 3 to 4 degrees. And if you pick a distance of somewhere between 100 and 150 meters and you run down that as fast as you can and then you walk back, you actually feel almost like you're running out of control when you're doing that effort. But it is a very specific way of helping you develop faster cadence and leg turnover, so that when you are naturally out just running, especially in those longer events, you're able to hold and maintain a better running form and economy for a lot longer than you otherwise would. And that's where you're really going to pick up and see significant reductions in times for doing these events. You know, and you should do a couple of sessions running at night. Now, even if you potentially aren't going to be competing or racing in an event where you're running at night for a long time, I do feel that it does give you some really good adaptations and awareness about, you know, how to run, lifting up your feet so you don't fall over. And with a good running light, you know, it'll also challenge you to make sure that you get better at being able to navigate when it is darker. You know, do those types of sessions with a friend if you can, but sometimes if you're going to go out and do them by yourselves, just let people know where you're going, okay? And you should also be doing that anyway, regardless of when you're training, especially when you go and do those longer running events. Another tip that I wanted to give you is do practice running on the trails regularly. Okay, so we may not be able to always get to a trail, and you might just have to do most of your training close to home where you don't have any trails, but the more confident and comfortable you get with actually running on the dirt, on uneven terrain, the better you're going to get at it, okay? I do myself at least 2 to 3 sessions a week out on the trails, but at different times of my training calendar, that goes up and down. But I love getting out on the trails, and my favourite sessions are the longer ones where I'm out there for anywhere between 3 and 5 hours on most weekends doing my longer trail running session. And on alternate weekends, I often stay on the road on my long run, because that actually gives you very good adaptation as well, which you wouldn't get if you just ran on the trail all the time. So running on the road, sometimes doing your longer running sessions on the road is very good in itself, but you also do have to get out on the trails. Specific sessions for your events and what you're training for must be practiced and put into your training plan. And I'm talking about hill repeats, stair repeats, and running on technical terrain, because, you know, not only will you become more confident in your ability to be able to take on those types of terrains when you go and do your races, but just by virtue of doing those sessions, you're actually going to get stronger and faster as well. So, you know, go and do stair running sessions, go and do hill repeat sessions, because that's going to improve your ability to be able to do these trail running events. Thanks for watching, runners. Please hit the notifications bell so that you stay informed of when we post up videos, and comment in the comments box of what you want to see.